I was among the people that did not have, at least not this much faith in a team without a consistent, reliable second option. And if I'm being completely honest, I still don't have complete faith in this team in a playoff situation without a consistent, reliable second option. However, if we take a look at this, we are currently the third best defense in the NBA. We are the fourth best offense in the NBA, which makes us the third best net rating in the NBA. Not only that, if we go just by traditional stats, we are second in the league in points per game, top 6 in field goal percentage. We are top 5 in 3-point percentage, top 5, and we're leading the league in rebounds. We're second in offensive rebounds. There are a lot of outcomes that I was anticipating coming into the season. Being 8-2 with the schedule that we faced in the first 10 games was not on the agenda. That wasn't even in my mind. Let me see our first 10 games last season. Yeah, so it was Phoenix, it was Sacramento, which they had a fake comeback towards the end of the game. We were up by like 20. The Houston Rockets, which they were close, but then Steph took over in the fourth. The Pelicans, which we blew them out. The Kings, which we won by 1 point on a Klay Thompson buzzer beater, and then OKC that we won by 2 on a buzzer beater. And so when you contrast that to this season, a lot of our schedule through 10 games was definitely better last year compared to this year, but we still played some good teams. We lost this game, but I still feel like there were some fixable things with that game. We just didn't play that great of a game overall. The Pelicans, we won twice. These were snooze fest. There was nobody on the floor for New Orleans outside of Zion. The Rockets game without Steph, which of course we blew a 30-point lead and then came back and still won. I feel like that's one of the things that I'll get to. Actually, we'll get to it in the OKC game. The Wizards, which we win, obviously. The Celtics without Jaylen Brown, but still a tough team nonetheless without Jaylen Brown or Kristaps. And we were able to get that win as well. Cleveland get absolutely smoked by 40 points. Although the bench did look solid towards the end of the game. And then tonight against OKC, where we win pretty convincingly outside of a fake comeback towards the end of the game. And I feel like one of the key differences between this year's team and last year's team, we would probably have be able to build a lead like that, and we would blow the lead still. I mean, that's just the reality of the NBA. I don't think that team would have been able to stay composed and be able to actually close the game out because they weren't able to do it last season. And so I feel like if there is any indication that this is going to be a different season, it would be that, or at least that would be one of the key factors in making that distinction between this year's team and last year's team. In terms of what has actually changed, I feel like the key difference has definitely been Andrew Wiggins. It seems like he is actually back. He's been playing really solid defense really the entire season. There have been a bunch of just key assignments, specifically Jason Tatum, who he just always clamps every time we play them. And then now tonight, SGA. Man, the injury to Chet Holmgren, see, this is why there is something to take away from this game, and I do feel like we shouldn't just write this off because Chet Holmgren got injured. I wouldn't really say that it was a crazy advantage for us because we just went small with them to maintain the switchability, because I feel like in years past when we would go small, we would be sacrificing some level of defense, whether it be on the perimeter or interior, because of the size of players that we actually had. We were running Chris Paul, Steph Curry, B-pods at the 3 or something, and it would just be awful. But I feel like this season we can more so get away with running small lineups like this with Draymond as a back line, with guys like Andrew Wiggins in help position, D'Anthony Melton probably as a secondary option for point of attack. I feel like that is going to be a different look for this team than we got last season. See here, D-Melt is the point of attack on that play on Shea. Yeah, I feel like that was one of the main reasons why we went small, is because we knew we could do that. If there is a situation where a team wants to go small against us, then I feel like that's not really a situation that benefits them, just because of the types of players that we have now. Like, see, this is the issue, is that I feel like we are way more disciplined with our help this season than we were last year. Because last year we would help on drives like this, but we would help off of literally the best shooters on the floor. It definitely seems like they're doing a way better job of picking who to help off of. Shout out Jerry Stackhouse. But yeah, like, he's driving in and there's 4 Warrior jerseys in front of him. And I feel like Alex Caruso also being just completely to start the year has definitely played a role, because there's no way that Kyle Anderson would be helping this far off of him if he was shooting 37% like he usually does, 38%. And so it's also just understanding the actual team that you're playing in front of you. There's a turnaround. This was in the middle of the fake comeback. By the way, just made a video about the concept of what is a safe lead in the NBA. You should go check it out if you have not done so already. One of my best videos in the last year and a half, I would say. But I feel like Steph has also gotten like a little bit of flack to start the year. Like, there haven't even really been that many situations where he has played a whole game. So the Portland game didn't play a full game because we won by 40. Utah didn't play a full game because he won by 40. Clippers didn't play a full game because he got injured. Wizards, he was on a minute restriction that game. The Celtics was like his first full game of the season, and he had 27 points in 34 minutes. And then sat out basically the entire second half against Cleveland. And now 36 points in 36 minutes. Keep in mind, OKC is the #1 defense in the NBA. We are number 3 after the last couple games. And a big part of why they are the #1 defense is because of just their switchability. They can switch 1 through 5, basically, at least, you know, in situations like this where they're facing another small lineup. There isn't really any single defender that you can actually attack on the floor. There's Case and Wallace, who's really solid. There's Shea, who's really good as a help defender and also pretty all right as a point of attack. Alex Caruso, fantastic all defensive caliber player. Jalen Williams, who's sort of getting there, and then Lou Dort, who is one of the best wing defenders in the league. Like, if he's making shots like that, you can't really do anything. Buddy Hield being a screener is really like crazy, because J-Dub is not gonna leave Buddy Hield, and so you have to be able to fight through this, and luckily Kaysen does. And I feel like he did actually play this pretty well, because he was like about to guard what he thought was going to be a curl around and back to the rim, and that's a step back. They started, he makes this, which basically means that the game is over in most situations. Around this point was when they started trapping Steph on every action. And you're seeing why, especially in like the 2022 finals, the Celtics did not trap Steph Curry for the entirety of the series, unless it was game 5. Because when that happens, you're just put in scramble mode and you're leaving shooters open, and you can't necessarily do that. Like, you couldn't really do that back then, but you definitely can't do that against a team where they're playing 5 shooters on the floor. We're playing Steph, Kuminga, Hield, Wiggins, Kyle Anderson. Like, there's not really an option. I guess Kyle would be the one that you would leave in this situation, or maybe Jonathan Kuminga, but even then, not to the extent that you would leave like a Looney or like Draymond. Even though Draymond's shooting well, teams don't really trust it still, which is understandable. So now they're trapping him again. It's literally just, man, like, the amount of open shots that Buddy Hield has gotten so far this season is ridiculous. Like, I don't think that he's consistently seen this many good looks in his life. Like, this is crazy. Like, how does he have even time to set his feet? So you can see now they're like sort of forcing him to drive there, but that still leads to open threes because of the zone collapsing. And now you can see they're using Steph's gravity against them. So now when they trap it, this is a counter that they have. D-Melt is going to vacate over the corner. He's going to be involved in some sort of action for Wiggins so that they occupy the attention of both Case Wallace and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then GP2 is going to roll off of this. And Yeah, that's Warriors offense, man. That's just fantastic defense. And then Steph hits this pump fake flyby 3 and night. Like I said, I still believe that we are going to need some sort of like secondary, like reliable secondary scoring option down the line, or at least someone that can reliably create their own shot. Like if Kuminga doesn't really come along, which he had a great game today, if B-Pods, or like the shot making of B-Pods doesn't really come along. But if we don't, I feel like this is going to be the best possible iteration of any team that literally just has one superstar and just a really good team around them, not necessarily like another star caliber player, because there's really no weaknesses other than that. And even then, we haven't really seen too many situations this season where that has been necessary, even against like the top teams. I feel like this definitely showed that no matter what team that they're facing, they can adapt to them, unless it is like some huge team that they just do not have the personnel for. Cleveland, that was always going to be a tough game, obviously, because of the size of double bigs with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. They just didn't miss a 3. You had Ty Jerome walking into 30 footers. Like, there's nothing that you can realistically do when that is happening. They started 13 for 17 on threes. D-Melt 5 for 8 from 3 today. Steve Kerr has already said he's gonna have a pretty solid spot in the starting lineup for the foreseeable future, so we will see what happens there, which is something that I believe I said either in preseason or early on in the year, that D-Melt should be in the starting lineup. Like, it literally just should be the lineup that we started today. In terms of overall improvements from last season, I think the lack of Chris Paul is definitely something, just because we have so many guys that can handle the ball this season. Like, we have Buddy Hield, who is a really underrated ball handler. D'Anthony Melton, really underrated ball handler. B-Pods, when he wants to, can be a good ball handler. Like, we have options other than just Chris Paul and Steph. I feel like that was one of our main issues last year, was that one of our main ball handlers was Chris Paul, who is a known slow the game down kind of player, and that's not really what the Warriors do, as shown by how they're playing this season. I will be waiting to see how we play in some of our upcoming matchups, because I don't know if you guys have seen our upcoming schedule from now until like the new year. This is absolutely insane. We are about to go through a gauntlet. Let me just highlight what I would say are key games. So this. Hawks are kind of bad. Pelicans, I'm not worried about. Spurs are, Nets have been actually kind of decent this season, but even then, I wouldn't. All right, so we play OKC again at home on the 27th. We play Phoenix, we play Denver, we play Houston, Minnesota twice, Memphis, Minnesota again after the in-season tournament, and then Indiana, Lakers on Christmas, Clippers again, Phoenix, Cleveland, and then okay. I see what's going on here. Chat. I see what's going on here. We might be back. We have a 139 offensive rating in the third quarter. Dude, what?